Hi, this is Attorney Walter, if not the third. I'm with Disability Resolution PA. That's this company right over, boop, right there. That is Disability Resolution PA. I have been working at that company for a total of 7 years now, going on 8 years. The truth is, I actually own that company. Very successful, lovely little law firm that does disability benefits, SSI, SSDI, and DAC. All right, so guys, here's the deal. I know we're running a little bit late today. We're starting at 8:34. I asked somebody to post something that said we're going to start around 8:30. We're supposed to start at 8, but we're going to start a little bit late today. Now, let's get to the people that matter the most. All right, so let's go right over here to a couple of little details that we need to go through. First off, I want to talk about spaceconstitution.com. We are now in the final beta stages of getting everything set up before we actually advertise it. You guys can start to go ahead and use it. What is spaceconstitution.com? A real quick plug. It's another company that I started to allow people to talk about rights and freedoms that they feel they should have, not only for this planet, but also for other planets. So when people go in the future to space stations, other planets, they have freedoms and rights already established for them. Excellent, guys. Another thing I want to talk about real quick is that when I went to go buy a home, and I just want to go through it real quick, I used a particular gentleman. He actually sent me a really, really amazing little Christmas card. And this gentleman that helped me buy my house, if you're ever in the market for one of those, right here, Hamilton Group Funding, Jim Moninger. He is amazing. I used him. If you ever get a chance and you want to buy a house, he is the guy to go with. All right, now the next thing I want to go through real quick over here is the following. There's a buddy of mine that I've known forever, and it is absolutely incredibly important. If you are into gaming at all, he does his own channel and his own stuff. I wanted to go ahead and put his name out there. That way you guys can check him out. We're going to go right into disability shortly, but at this moment, let me give a quick plug to him. Twitter.com, DJMRE Gaming. So that's DJ Mr. E Gaming. That's his thing, twitter.com. DJ Mr. E Gaming. Really, really cool guy. Let me give you a quick detail. 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard, Monday through Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, or usually the same time. He is taking today off. Howdy, guys. Let's go ahead and get right to disability benefits. Howdy, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and put the phone number up there so that we can go ahead and get started with people calling in if you want to. Howdy, Florida couple. How we doing? I saw that. Yep, some lag. No biggie. All right, so let's talk about the basics. The channel going forward is going to focus on two main things. These are the two big things that we are going to be doing in the future. Number one, we're going to be finishing the top 200 hearing questions. Now, it takes literally thousands of hours to be able to record all of those. About half of them are recorded at this point. We're on like 46 of 200 that's uploaded, but a bunch are already scheduled. I have about another 100 left to go ahead and record. At that point, we'll be set to go, and I'll start releasing those more and more so that you'll get more per week. The next thing, which is really important here, the next big video that I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be going through and explaining each listing so you know what each listing is and how they work for impairments. This is kind of like the Rosetta Stone of understanding Social Security disability benefits. All right, we've got a call coming in right now. One moment. Okay, hold on. Let me go ahead and put this over here, and here we go. Hi, you are live on YouTube. This is Attorney Walter Knott. Are you ready to go ahead and run through some questions?
Yes.
Perfect. Go ahead and mute your computer. What you'll be using is the audio directly from the phone. And what we'll do is now, do you want me to answer a specific question about disability law, or would you like me to go ahead and run hearing questions with you?
Let's just go ahead and do the disability as if it was a hearing.
Okay. When is your actual hearing?
I don't have one yet.
Okay. Gotcha. Are you already represented?
Yes.
Okay, make sure you use a fake name throughout this whole thing for, legal whatever reasons. I can only give you a second opinion, blah, blah, blah throughout it. Let's get rolling. Madam, go ahead and state your full fake name for the record.
Jennifer Aniston.
Ah, great pick. Very, very beautiful woman, very witty, very, very lots of fun words there. All right, so let's go through that. Okay, now tell me this. Are you left-handed, right-handed? What's your date of birth and current age?
I'm right-handed.
Mm-hmm.
Date of birth 10/26/64,
mm-hmm.
and I am 56 years old.
Excellent. What are your top 5 most severe impairments?
Well, I have osteoarthritis or osteopathy.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Back.
Okay.
I have, let's see. Oh, I knew this was going to happen. I have
That's okay. Let's
anxiety, depression.
Gotcha.
I have PTSD, but I've never been diagnosed with that.
Okay.
And fibromyalgia.
Okay, and fiber. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and run that again. We need a little bit smoother. Madame, what are your top 5 most severe impairments?
Okay, osteopathy,
Mm-hmm.
Fibromyalgia,
Mm-hmm.
anxiety, depression, PTSD.
Okay. Out of all of those, which is the most severe physical impairment?
The osteopathy.
Correct. What is your most severe mental impairment out of all of those?
Depression.
Okay. Can you tell me out of those 2, which is the most severe?
Is the osteopathy.
Okay. Now, just for those individuals online, give a quick summary as to what that is. That way they have a better understanding, because everybody knows what osteoarthritis is, but give them a quick walkthrough as to that.
Well, okay. Well, it's a very aching and dull pain, sometimes shooting. When I get up to walk, I have no cartilage in my knees. They've taken it out. So it's like bone on bone. So I get, it's very hard to walk. And you use your fingers and they're very sore. The fingertips, you cannot manipulate your hands very well. And it's a dull ache, very dull ache.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Why do you feel that this dull ache is enough to keep you from working?
Well, because I can't walk. It's in both my knees. One knee has a bad knee replacement that they call it botched, because it's very loose and it pops out like gives. And the other one, they took the cartilage out. So I'm waiting for a knee replacement, but they can't do it right now because they're waiting for me to get off pain medicine, because I'm at the maximum of my pain medicine before they can do a knee replacement.
Okay, when is that to happen?
Trying to get around during the day, even going to Walmart, I have to shift between each leg, and I just have a hard time walking, which makes me look impaired. When I'm at work, they'll say I'm impaired, but I'm really not, because it's the way I walk, my demeanor. So even if I'm not impaired, they accuse me of being impaired. So it kind of affects my life, because they know I'm on medication.
Have they talked to you about surgeries? Have they talked to you about alternative types of medicine? Where are you at with it?
Right now, they're going to try to wean me off medicine till I get to a certain level, so they can do a surgery and then give me medicine for the acute pain with surgery. Because they did a scope, and they could not give me any medicine, and the doctor said that was very inhumane, because my pain management would not give me any more pain medicine due to the federal government's regulation.
Okay, what kind of pain medication are you currently on?
I take hydrocodone every 6 hours, 10 milligrams, and then twice a day I'll get the Oxycontin 10 extended relief, like one at night and one in the morning. But it's at the point where I've been on it so long, it doesn't even touch the pain anymore.
Okay. All right.
It doesn't even, it's like
Okay. Understood. Do you use a cane, crutch, wheelchair, walker, knee cart, sling, or other ambulatory orthopedic device?
I have a cane, and I have a walker with a seat. I have a prong cane.
Mm-hmm.
I wear a knee brace on my left knee and my right leg where there's arthritis in my shin. I've been wearing a wrap around that for the arthritis from an old break.
Okay, gotcha. Now help me out with this. Would you be able to climb ladders, ropes, or scaffolds?
Oh, no.
No?
No.
Okay. What about crawl under a car in case you drop your keys or something?
I can bend over to pick something up, but it's very painful, especially coming back up. I cannot squat down. My knees will not bend at the full angle. The doctor said I'm having trouble with weight bearing because he took the cartilage out of my left knee. And so he wrote to my employer, we're working on her weight bearing. So they took me out of work at this time.
Okay, gotcha. All right, now let me ask you this. When it comes to, your movements and things that you can or cannot do, what about, for example, ramps or stairs? You able to climb up those?
Stairs, I have to go like one at a time, and I have to use a rail and very slowly, and I can only do a few at a time. I could not go up like a flight of stairs.
Okay. How many stairs do you think you could climb? How many steps?
Probably 4.
Okay. What would happen after 4
and then
steps?
I'm done.
Okay.
My knees would just ache, and they swell, and they pretty much always stay swollen to where I can't even bend them. I have to keep them elevated a lot of the time. Both knees. They won't touch the right knee because they say it was a botched knee job, which they're reluctant to replace that because they have to. It's really bad, they said, to redo a knee replacement.
Okay, understood. How many surgeries have you had on your knees? And walk me through left knee and then right knee.
I've had on the right knee a series of injections. Then they did a total knee, and then after a year it was still hurting. Then they did a scope, and he said that the kneecap they put in was too big, and so they left that alone. Went to the knee doctor. So that's when I got on pain medicine, and I kept working on the pain medicine. Then he said, you're going to have the left knee done at one point in time. And so, they did knee injections, to cortisone in that knee as well. And the doctor said, well, that's probably what happened. It's eating up all that cartilage. He said, is extensive. We took out all of the meniscus that was ripped and torn. So now you're literally bone on bone on that left knee. And you do need a knee surgery. And then he referred me to a specialist at UAMS, Little Rock. And they said, you do need a knee surgery, but we can't touch you till you get off that pain medicine. But with everything else going on, I'm having a hard time getting off the pain medicine.
Okay.
To have that knee surgery.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this. So when it comes to walking, how far do you think you could walk before you have to stop and rest?
Oh, gosh. Like, for example, I just went to Walmart today just to get a few things, maybe 3 items, and I was ready to get back to the car. I was done. So I would say the length of a football field, and I'm done.
Length of a football field, and then you're done. What does your done mean?
I have to sit down and elevate my leg.
Okay, I'm going to tell you a little secret here. You're offering too much information. If I asked you a question about how far can you walk, and you're telling me a story about how you went shopping, That's not a good sign. Okay, let's try it again. How far can you walk?
Oh, about the length of a football field. That's it.
Length of the football field. How far is a football field?
Is that 100 yards?
It's 100 yards. And then after you've walked that 100 yards, you are done. Can you explain to me, when do you start feeling pain during that walk down that football field?
The whole time during it, with each step.
With each step. Okay, so what happens when you get to the last step of the 100 yards? What do you feel?
Excruciating pain, and I have to sit down. I have to get off my leg.
Okay, so you feel this excruciating pain. Where do you feel the pain?
Around my knee, and it shoots down towards my feet, and I also have arthritis in my feet where I have to wear inserts in my soles of my shoes. So the pain shoots down my legs, and then if they give me gabapentin when that happens, but that just gives me muscle spasms. So
all right, so let's work on this. All right, you're all over the place. I want to get you right back to the question. What was the tough question for you?
The tough question is about describing my pain.
What was the question before that?
Describe pain. How far could I walk?
How far can you walk?
About the length of a football field.
Now, what we're really asking is not how far you can walk before you have basically, killed yourself to the point in which you have to go to a hospital. They are asking specifically, how far can you walk before you start to feel pain that would not allow you to have a decently quick recuperation to continue to walk again? So how far can you walk where you'd have a short break to recover and then be able to walk again?
Probably as in car length, because I watch your videos, I'd say about 3.
Okay, what kind of car?
Prius.
All right, that's a good car right there. Let me tell you, if you're gonna drive a car and you don't want to spend anything on that, anything on fuel, that's what you got. Very good. I like that car. That car is so cool. You could basically drive all over the state of Florida with a 5-gallon gas can. I love that. Let me tell you. Nobody will ever say I didn't abuse my Prius. Let me tell you, Toyota did not want me in the commercial. All right, so. Yeah, no, all right. So we're talking a couple of car lengths, right? So, okay, Prius is, let's say 13, 14 feet. So we're talking about 3 of those. So now we're talking about 45 to 50 feet. Can you explain to me in feet, how long is a football field? If you don't know, I'll tell you.
Feet?
Mm-hmm.
In 300 feet?
It would be 360 feet because it's 110 meters in total with both of the side, the areas. So, okay, let's talk about that. We've got 360 feet total to walk a football field, or you break it down to the smaller amount just for the yard line to yard line, which is fine either way. It proves the point. So you've got 300 plus feet versus essentially 50 feet. Now, I want to ask you again, and I want you to answer it, because the next question that's coming up is, how long do you have to rest? How many times can you redo that over and over? Walk the distance, rest, walk the distance, rest in an 8-hour day. But how far can you walk before you have to stop and rest?
I'm going to say about 30 feet, and then I have to stop.
Okay.
And elevate my leg.
For how long?
For about 20 minutes.
20 minutes. Okay. Geez Louise. So it takes you longer to rest than it does to walk.
Yeah.
Okay. Now what? Now
it really hurts.
All right. What did I just do there? I gave you words that I put in your mouth as an answer. It could take you to walk 30 feet, 20 minutes. I don't know that, but I just put that into, is that true? You tell me.
Well, can you repeat that again?
Sure. So I said, hey, you rest longer than you walk. And then you agreed with me.
Right.
Well, you tell me.
Yeah.
If you walk 30 feet, it could take you 20 minutes. Could it take you less? Could it take you more? You tell me.
Well, actually, it'll depend on the day and if I had my medication or not.
Mm-hmm.
The weather plays a big part in it. It does take me a long time to recover, and I'll have to take my medicine and wait for that to kick in, and then I could probably do something for a little bit, and then I have to sit down again.
So your medication really helps you with walking. Is that correct?
For a time being.
For a time being. What does that mean?
It helps probably for an hour,
Mm-hmm.
but it still hurts. It never goes away.
Never goes away. Okay. So basically you become a superwoman for an hour and then the rest of the day you can't do anything.
And if I overdo it, I can't do anything for a couple days.
Okay. So here's something I need you to work on. You have to be okay with saying no to the judge. I just said you become a superwoman for an hour and then you can't do anything for the rest of the day. You have to be able to, with affirmation, say, no, Your Honor, I'm still in pain even when I take the medication.
Okay.
Okay, so you could be a superwoman for an hour, but then it sounds like you can't do too much. Is that correct?
No, Your Honor.
Mm-hmm.
I have to sit down and rest. The pain never really goes away.
Okay, good.
I cannot.
Remember this too. When I jumped in there, I didn't give you the other lesson of that little thing, which was if you don't say no, Your Honor, then that can be viewed as an affirmation on your part by omission. So you got to remember, you have to answer what the judge is saying. And if you don't, then basically through omission, it could be viewed as an affirmation that is in the positive. So just watch out for that.
What is affirmation? An agreement?
It means like, yes, Your Honor, no, Your Honor. It means that you are affirming to a particular, side of something,
Okay.
All right. So, all right. Let's run this again. We're going to do it one more time. Let's see how you do. Ma'am, how far can you walk before you have to stop and rest?
I can go, about 3 car lengths, and then I have to stop and rest for about 20 minutes with ice on my knee,
mm-hmm.
and take my medicine and wait for that to kick in before I can continue to do anything, which I can't do too much or I'll be down for 2 days.
Okay, I want a little bit more sureness in your voice. Ma'am, how far can you walk before you have to stop and rest?
Just about 3 car lengths.
About 3 car lengths. What is that in feet?
30 feet.
Well, that wouldn't be 3 car lengths. That would be essentially around 2 car lengths.
40 feet.
Okay. All right, so walk me through this. You walk 40 feet, then you have to rest. How long do you have to rest for?
For about 20 minutes.
After 20 minutes, are you able to walk again?
Well, with the ice, it'll numb it a little bit, and I can take some pain medicine, and then I can get up and maybe, walk around the house. But I have to use the cane and try to switch knees off and on.
Got to switch knees off and on. Okay, gotcha. So, all right, how many times do you think you could repeat the function of walking 40 feet and then resting for 20 minutes over an 8-hour workday?
Oh, probably 3 times a day.
Mm-hmm. Okay, probably 3 times. All right, now help me out with this. When was the last time that you worked?
July.
July of 2020?
Yes.
Okay, now in July of 2020, was the beginning of July that you stopped working or the end of July?
July 5th.
July 5th.
Did a 12-hour shift, and I couldn't. I was hurting so bad, and I'm on pain medicine, and
okay,
they were.
You're all over the place. Bring it back. These are 1, 2. Word. Okay, so walk me through this. Where was the last place that you worked?
Where was the last place? At a hospital.
At a hospital. And what kind of position did you have?
A respiratory therapist.
And tell me this. So why did you have a tough time with that job?
It's 80 to 100% of walking.
Uh-huh.
And the rest time is only 30%. And so there's really no downtime for respiratory at all. They even got upset when I put my leg up on a chair to elevate it. They thought I was reclining. So, you're on your feet the whole time.
Okay. So how did you get so bad from July all the way to now? When did it actually become severe? Because if you were working 12-hour shifts, you were not severe back in July to the beginning of January of 2020, correct?
Right after July, he went in and did a scope, and he removed all the meniscus.
Who did?
My orthopedic surgeon.
And his name is?
Dr. Let me say his name.
So, you can make a fake name, but the point is, I need the date, I need the name, I need the procedure. The date, the name, the procedure.
Doogie Hauser went in and he removed 3 compartmental meniscus. He removed them because they were ripped and torn. He said he took them out, and he said, you need a knee replacement. He said, I'm going to send you to physical therapy for now, but you do need a knee replacement because you're just literally bone on bone now.
Okay, for those people who are watching, explain the rubber band known as the meniscus for them.
It's the cushion between your femur and your tibula and fibula, where they go together, and it's the cushion in there. Where I was getting injections in there to ease the inflammation, but that he says the repeated injections tears up that cushion, and that's why it was ripped and torn, because I had so many injections. So he had to remove them.
Very good. Very good. Okay. Now let me ask you this. How many surgeries have you had on your right leg, including your knee, since July of 2020?
On my right knee, I have nothing done because he said I need at least one good leg.
Okay. What about your left leg?
My left leg, he just did the scope, and he said, due to your age, you're having a hard time recovering from that. So he took me off work, and now we're pending a knee replacement.
So he took you off work. What does that mean? You were working again in another job?
No. Getting short-term disability.
Okay, so you're getting your short-term disability. Have you transferred onto LTD yet?
No. Actually, they're sending a note to UAMS to ask the doctor what are her physical limitations, because they will not let me back with no limitations, because they said there is no light duty work for a respiratory therapist.
Okay, gotcha. So help me out with this. Have you sought out other jobs in the national economy to try out?
This is all I've known. I've been doing it for 32 years, and so no, I know I can't stand as a cashier. I can't manipulate things with my hands because I have arthritis in my hands. I have a bulging disc in my back that, like, when I used to lift patients, that would hurt. So if I sit too long, my back would hurt, my legs would swell. And with the depression and anxiety, the medication causes me to be forgetful and confused.
Okay. Let me ask you this. So you started to bring up your medication side effects. Can you tell me what all your medications are, what they are for, and what side effects you get from them?
Okay, there's thiazidine. It's a muscle relaxer for the pinched nerve in my back, and that makes me very drowsy. There's the gabapentin for the pinched nerves also, which gives me dry mouth, and I have been told they can't understand what I'm saying, so I appear impaired, and that makes me drowsy. I take hydrocodone, which is for pain. Doesn't last long enough. It's every 6 hours. I take the OxyContin twice a day, extended release. That makes me drowsy. I take the anxiety Xanax for anxiety. That makes me drowsy. And I take the antidepressant, which that really doesn't have much of a side effect. I don't even feel like it's working because I'm still very depressed. I also forgot to mention I have a duodenal ulcer. So I have to take succulent as for you take that before you eat to help digest your food.
All right, we're gonna take a moment right here.
Yeah.
That's got to be a lot smoother, and the reason why is the judge's eyes are going to glaze over about midway through that. You've got to be able to come out with them in a little bit more of a bullet point fashion. Remember, it's the medication, the side effects, and what they're for, or the medication, what they're for, and the side effects. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 each medication. And remember, you are feeding this information to a person that's already had 4 hearings for the day, and you're number 5, and you're at 2:30 p.m.
Right.
So just kind of keep in mind, you've got to be able to get this information to that judge in the manner at which the judge's brain can digest it easily. All right. Perfect. All right, ma'am. Tell me this. Why do you have a difficult time? No, let's skip that one. That's too easy. All right. You wake up. What's the first thing that you do when you wake up?
I take my pain medicine.
You take pain medication? Okay, so where do you keep the pain medication in the house?
It's in my nightstand.
Okay. Do you live on the first floor or the second floor?
One story.
One story. How many steps to get into the house?
It's flat. No steps.
No steps. Understood.
Well,
okay.
One, just a step in the door.
Okay, gotcha. All right, help me out with this. So you wake up, you take your medication. What do you do next?
Then I get my stomach pill so I can eat 30 minutes later. And then I wait for that to kick in. Then I go ahead and eat. I take my protonics for my stomach. And then I just kind of lay there and wait for the pain medicine to kick in, which usually takes about 2 hours before I can even really function.
Okay. So what about taking a shower? What about hygiene-related functions? What about getting dressed?
I hate to say it, but there are some days I go about 3 days without getting in the shower because it's overwhelming to find my clothes, to get my clothes, and to get in the shower, to blow dry my hair, to do all that. Everything hurts so bad, and So it takes that long just. So there are days I just put that off.
Okay. Do you have any difficulty with cooking, cleaning, laundry, or paying bills?
Well, I don't cook. If anything, I throw a few things in the crock pot and just let it cook all day.
Mm-hmm.
A few cans, some hamburger, and put it in the crock pot. Other than that, it's frozen foods, like frozen pizza, put in there. A lot of that stuff I can't eat. I can't eat a lot of bread. I'm limited on stuff that will upset my stomach. And I can't take anti-inflammatories for the arthritis. So the only option I have is pain medicine for the inflammation.
Okay, we're hearing a lot of missed opportunities. All right, let's break it down. Well, first, what was the question?
About cooking.
Mm-hmm.
I just do a lot of crock pot cooking,
Mm-hmm.
and I do frozen dinners.
Let's talk about that crock pot. What kind of crock pot do you have? How big is it?
It's a Pioneer Woman. I guess it's I don't know, 2-quart crock pot.
Okay, gotcha. Is that a big one or a little one?
It's a medium-sized one.
It's a medium-sized one. I know. I have a big one, and I have yet to figure out how to use it. So tell me this: when it comes down to this crock pot, what do you usually fill it with?
Well, I do some deer chili or deer meat in there.
Mm-hmm.
Cook deer meat and pop open a few cans of beans and some sauce and just let it go all day. And that's it. And some crackers.
Okay. All right. My brain is thinking of a lot of ways to beat you up over a crock pot. Why do you think my brain is going to successfully hurt your claim with a crock pot?
It's hard to wash. Lifting it out of there.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe.
What about standing next to it for
heavy.
hours? What about cutting up all the meat? Deer meat, nonetheless.
Well, it's all right. I got it ground deer meat. Put it in there.
Okay.
It's already ground up.
It's already ground up, so you just put it in there. How do you stir it?
Mm-hmm. Just with a fork.
With a fork. Okay, gotcha.
Stir it up. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So how long can you stand?
Probably, if I'm standing still in one spot, maybe about 15 minutes.
About 15
and then
minutes.
I have to go sit. I mean, it just, because I have to pivot from knee to knee, and then I'll have to go sit down.
How many people do you live with?
I live by myself.
How do you afford to live by yourself?
I'm off the short-term disability.
And let me ask you this. If you live by yourself, how do you take your garbage out?
It's on my front porch, and my son lives 4 doors down, and he'll come and pick up the bags and take them out to the trash.
Okay. How much do you think the garbage weighs?
I don't fill them all the way up. I just have a small kitchen trash can. It's a 10-gallon bag trash can, and I don't fill it all the way up. So just about half full, and I'll tie the bag up and put it on the porch. And I'll get about 3 bags, and then he'll take them out when he drives by.
Who is he?
And then my son.
Your son. How often does he visit?
He lives about 4 doors down, so he drives by all the time. He visits not that often, just when I need him.
Okay. So help me out with this. you're able to cook. Do you ever share some of that meal with other neighbors and things like that?
Well, I'll divide it up, put it in a little Tupperware, and put it in the freezer.
Mm-hmm.
Save it for another day.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Defrost
So
it.
why couldn't you do a job at like a soup kitchen where you're maybe, helping out with some basic prepping food? Nothing serious, no fast pace, just, helping out a little here or there.
I just couldn't stand that long with my knees being so bad.
How long can you sit?
Just about 30 minutes, and then my lower back starts to hurt.
Mm-hmm. Well, your neighbors must like you if you're bringing over crock-pot food, because that's some of the best food out there. Can you tell me this? How long have you known your neighbors?
Well, I've been here 3 years. We just wave. I don't know them by name.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I understand that, and I get that. Now, look, what I'm doing is I'm building a case against you for what we're going to talk about next, which is your anxiety, depression, and PTSD. Now, you already told me you don't have a medical record for PTSD, which means I'm going to beat you up first a little on that, and then I'm going to switch over to anxiety and depression, because I know if I get you beat up with PTSD and saying, well, why haven't you been seen for that? And you, this, that, this reason, that. And I said, well, what about anxiety? Oh, anxiety, they said this. So, ma'am, tell me about your PTSD. How long have you been treating for that?
They never diagnosed me with that.
Mm-hmm.
I just know I have it. So I mentioned that to you because I believe I have it.
Mm-hmm.
I had to watch my mother die against my will. And I saw my brother get hit by a car, ran over by a car. Of course, that was a few years back. So when my mother was in the hospital, it was me against my 3 sisters, and they were saying, let her go. And I was wanting to keep her alive, and if she was 98 pounds, she just needed to get her nutrition back. Mm-hmm. Because she wasn't eating. Mm-hmm. And she was an alcoholic. Mm-hmm. Instead of that, they said, just let her go. So they capped her trach and gave her medicine and let her go. And they asked me, aren't you going to stay and watch? And I said, no, I'm not going to sit there and watch her die. I've seen it too much in the hospital. I'm not going to watch my mother pass away when she told me that she wanted to live. So, I mean, that's really haunted me for the last 2 years.
Okay. So why didn't you seek treatment on it? Why didn't you seek treatment on it?
I didn't. That's why just the anxiety and depression is what I thought. And I see a psychologist.
Okay. Tell me about the anxiety and the depression. What do you feel?
It's like all of a sudden my heart races and I get really, really nervous. Mm-hmm. And I'd be driving and I would just slam on the brakes. I couldn't control my motor function at the time. I just slammed on the brake on the interstate, and then I had to pull over. Felt like I was having a heart attack, and I was afraid to go to work. I was just afraid and felt like incompetent if I got there. I just felt like I was going to die,
Okay.
I get afraid to be around people. I don't like being around people.
All right, now watch what I do here. You don't like being around people, but you're able to make crock pot food and hand it out to your neighbors. You pre-prepare it. What's the difference between your neighbors and people? I mean, they are people, aren't they?
No, I don't speak with my neighbors. I put my food in the refrigerator. I don't hand out my food to other people. I don't know my neighbors.
Okay. Can you tell me this? Out of the following groups of people, who do you get along with the least? Bosses, friends, family, coworkers, or the general public?
I believe it's bosses.
Bosses. What about bosses gives you
my family, my sisters.
Okay, so tell me about your family and your sisters. Why do you have a difficult time with them?
Well, my sister beat me up pretty bad. And then after that, her daughter thought she could do the same, and then she beat me up. And then when I pressed charges against her, they wanted her to do a year in prison because she nearly killed me. And I asked the prosecutor to drop it to a lesser sentence, and she didn't want to. She made her do at least 3 days in jail, and they haven't talked to me in about 10 years, or no, 7 years since then. So I've been isolated from my family.
They were going to put her in for a year, and she only served 3 days? That's not exactly a punishment.
Yes. I told them the way they're treating me is almost worse than the abuse that she put on me, because the mental abuse, they won't let me see my nieces, my nephews. They wouldn't let me see my mother when she was dying. The only time I got to see my mother is because I worked at the hospital she went to.
Okay.
I had to work on my mother.
Yeah.
You know.
So this is a good claim. But the problem is this: a lot of the testimony, and we started off with you all over the place. You know, you were telling me stories that were going with easy questions. There's 2 types of questions you're going to face. There's simple answer ones, 1 or 2 words, and then there's, you know, a little bit of a development situation. And you got to think to yourself, each question that you get, is it a bullet point question where I'm just giving a boom and I'm done? Or is this something where I need to add some meat to it? The pain questions, you need to figure out your adjectives to describe your pain. Because if you're saying to the judge, it's hard to describe the pain, that's one of the worst things you can tell to a disability judge, because they're sitting back going, well, haven't you been living with it for a long time? You know? So that's one of the issues you got to watch out for. The other thing is that you've got to get your medications down, and you've got to get your top 5 impairments down, because that's stuff that you are living with on a day-to-day. The other thing is, we didn't go into laundry, even though that was part of one of the questions. We didn't go into bill pay, and we didn't go into cleaning the house and stuff like that. Those are going to come up. We didn't go into transportation, how you get around. We didn't go into how you do food shopping. You know, I just got out of Walmart. Well, were you on a cart? You know, electric cart? Were you, how much did you buy? Did you take your groceries out to your car? Who loads them into your car? Stuff like that. Another thing you need to look into is the sleep cycle, because we're going to ask you during a real hearing what would happen. What's your sleep cycle like? Do you have any difficulty when you go to bed, when you wake up, throughout the night, and stuff like that? So keep working it. If you want, you can call in next week, work on it, keep watching now, have you watched the top 50 ALJ trick questions at this point?
I watched some of them.
Okay, watch the rest of them.
I'll watch the rest.
Okay, good. Watch the rest of them. Get really good at this, because this is going to be a very important part of your day. Also, remember, you're probably going to grid out if everything's prepared properly on your claim. I forgot and you are represented. Is it a non-legal rep, or is it an attorney?
An attorney.
Okay. And are you at the hearing level or at the
It's one of them big box ones.
Okay. So here's
I don't even know who my attorney is.
Yeah, I know. And that's not good. Law was not meant to be like that. Yeah. Law was meant to be like, you hire an attorney and you know who that person is. That's what it was supposed to be like, but it evolved into a corporate thing. And now law is basically, who knows who your attorney is, who knows if you can get a hold of them, all that jazz. So that is a huge problem. And the sad part is that disability law, more than most types of law, is a teamwork activity. That's where, you know, the attorney is there to tell you things that you need to watch out for, things you need to go ahead and do, help do testimony shaping, help you do preparation, trial prep, all that stuff, go through everything that you need to know. Now, I want to make this very clear. You need to start hounding the attorney that represents you to run questions with you, because you need to be used to their voice. Now, as you watch my videos, you get used to my voice, which is fine. That'll start to prep you. But when you're in that room and you hear their voice, that's going to throw you, because their voice is not going to sound like my voice. And it might be a female or a male voice, doesn't matter. It's still going to be tough. And when you're in that room for the first 10 minutes, your body's going to be tense. You're going to be fearful. You're going to be worried. And then you're going to hear all these adjectives. You're going to hear all these descriptive terms and things. And you're not going to know what they are. So it's imperative that attorney.
I cry a lot. I'll probably end up crying.
Well, let me ask you this. As a trial tactic, is it good to cry a lot, or is it good to cry strategically?
I don't know.
Well, think about it. If you're crying a lot, you're not getting your testimony on the record.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, so here's kind of the bottom line. You need to work out what your plan's going to be for that hearing when you go into it with that attorney. So your new job is finding out who that attorney is going to be. And your second job, if you get a chance, is to go online and please, please, please leave me 5-star reviews on Google, Avvo, and the Better Business Bureau, because I use those to go ahead and point fingers at other big law firms and say, ha, I have as many as you.
No, I have been.
Oh, good.
I go on the Avvo,
good.
And all of them.
Excellent,
yeah.
excellent.
Yeah.
All right.
I do have one question for you before we get off here. I got a call from the Social Security Department, and they said the judge, you know, he's going through your medical records, but they had a few questions about my work history. Mm-hmm. And they said there was a gap. And I said, well, that's because I've worked this whole 30 years, but I worked one place 2 times and another place 3 times. Mm-hmm. So if you call those 2 places, because I think they wanted to go back 10 plus years. And I said, well, if you call those 2 hospitals, they'll give you the dates that I worked, you know, those 2 places. And she said, okay. And then I called back later, and she said that I said, well, how is it going? She said, well, actually, they're doing a audit, and you were randomly selected. Mm-hmm. So it'll be another 6 weeks, because the time before when I talked to her, she said, it looks like he's going to be signing the papers tonight. Mm-hmm. And now it's going to be another 6 weeks. Mm-hmm. Have you heard of that, being audited?
All right, let's go through this real quick. They called you, they had a bunch of job questions, and then they said your claim was being audited?
Yes.
What was it being audited for?
They said it's just random. Random.
Okay. I know. I know what this is. So over the past couple of years, they put together a group at a higher level that at the national level goes ahead and reviews claims that have a higher % likelihood of being found disabled. They grab them so that they can go ahead and see if they can get a quick finding of disability, so that they don't have to go through the process and payment involved with doing an administrative law judge hearing. So what they'll do is they'll look at your claim. Now, what does this mean? All the medical records need to be in for them to do this check to give you the best shot at being found disabled. Now, your big box firm is unlikely to go and buy them all ahead of time, which is a problem. So you need to go and collect as many as you can, or get on the butt of that, big box law firm to go get your records and submit them to the ERE. And the way you can check up on them is to call up the hearing office and ask for your exhibit list, your record, your evidence, your exhibit list. They'll send it to you. You're going to go to the F folder. The F folder, it's the last folder of all of them. Look at all the medical records that are there and see if there are any gaps in when you visited. With big box firms, they usually don't get a lot of the medical records from what I've seen, from my opinion. That's a big problem that I have with going to appeals counsel. Some of them are good. Some of them are horrifically bad. The thing is this, you need to basically find out what's missing and get on them, because if you don't, they're not going to get it done.
Okay. And another question was, I asked my physical therapy, what about the RFC, residual functional capacity? And he said, don't you think we ought to wait till after your knee replacement? But I want it now, because I don't know when they're going to do the knee replacement. You know, they have to wean me off the pain medicine before they can do the knee replacement.
Okay, hold on one more time.
They said I'm on.
Go ahead and say it again.
I'm on the highest pain They said I'm on the highest pain medicine right now that the federal government will allow. So they have to wean me off my pain medicine before they can do the knee replacement.
Okay. All right.
So should I go ahead and try to get the physical therapist to do the residual functional capacity?
Yeah, go get an RFC form. Yeah, go get that going. Go get all the medical records, but call them up tomorrow and say, hey guys, I want my exhibit list. Go to the F folder, look at all the medical facilities that are in there. You will likely be shocked and see what is not in there. And keep in mind, what they have in there is what they're deciding your claim on. If they decide your claim early, it's called an OTR, on the record review. And an on the record review is basically where they make a decision based upon what they have in the record. And if you don't have all your medical evidence in the record, then you're not going to have as good of a shot if you did have all your medical evidence in the record.
Okay. I will do that.
Perfect.
And thank you so much for your time.
Absolutely, madam.
And I will give you 5 stars on all of them.
Very good. Excellent.
Those dogs need their biscuit.
They do. They're in the room right now doing what I like to call room training, because crate training did not work out so well. They tag teamed the damn thing and got the door open. But I would say this. Yeah.
Room training.
Oh, man, they are. Yeah, that's done. I mean, we tried house.
I tried that, but they ate my couch.
Oh, I have been through so many shoes with those little monsters. Let me tell you. Oh. But they're adorable, and you yell at them, and then you feel bad because they look at you with those sad, sobby, chubby eyes, and you're just like, oh, God, you know? Yeah, so, yeah.
Now, I do have dogs, and my grandkids come over and help me feed them. Is that going to be an issue?
Well,
because
consider.
I have dogs.
You have how many dogs?
3.
You got 3 dogs. What kind of breed are they?
One's a Chihuahua and a Lab. They stay outside, and the inside one is just like a dachshund type.
Okay, well, let me ask you this: how do you walk them?
I don't.
Well, how do you walk the one?
I just let him out in the front yard. He goes pee and he comes back in.
Okay, so
he's a house dog.
Okay, understood. So. Let me ask you this.
The other 2 just stay out back.
What do you mostly feed them, dry food or wet food?
Just dry food.
Okay, dry food. Okay. What kind of bags of dry food do you buy?
It's pedigree.
Pedigree.
I get the small bags.
Okay. So when you buy those small bags and you put them in your car, you bring them home, you unload them, how long do they last?
Well, I get 2 of them. They last maybe a week.
No, so you're going back and forth all the time.
Pretty much.
Okay.
But Walmart has a drive. You can pull up. You don't even get out of your car. Not even for your medicine. They bring it out, everything out to you.
Okay. Good save.
I'm making masks like Cheyenne, so
good.
I had to go in and get some material. Okay. That's why I was in Walmart today.
Okay. All right. So you knew where I was going there, but remember, I slipped in there that you load them into your car and unload them. We both know that you're unloading them, but that was good with that little addition that you put in about how they load it for you.
Yeah.
Perfect. Madame,
my
my
son lives around the corner.
Yeah.
To help me.
But how old is your son?
35.
What kind of job does he have?
He works at the nuclear plant.
Okay, gotcha. So he's pretty busy, isn't he?
Well, he gets he goes away and then he comes back. I have 2 sons.
Okay.
And so right now he's home.
Gotcha.
Probably for a couple months. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Now,
so they take turns.
I want to ask you a tough question before I flip over to the next caller. What did you learn from running these questions?
Don't give too much information. Don't and know your meds. Know your pain. Describe your adjectives. And what else? What else? Know the effects of your medicines. Know what lengths are as far as how far I can walk.
Mm-hmm.
And what else am I missing? I don't know.
What about allowing the judge to put words in your mouth?
Oh, yeah. Yes. And don't be afraid to say no.
Okay, good. Madame, I will catch you later. You got it. Have a wonderful, wonderful night. And if you want to call back next week, that would be perfect as well. And any questions in the meantime, go ahead and shoot me an email.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Perfect, Madame. Have a wonderful, wonderful night.
Oh, you too.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Okay, guys, so I want to go through that real quick. That was a claim that I think has the potential for gridding out, which is why they're going to do a preliminary review at the national level to see if they can go ahead and get it in and get it out before a hearing via using what's called an OTR. Okay, now I'm going to open up the phone for another person to go ahead and call. Oh, wait, we might have missed one. You are right. Blah, 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 blah. Let me see. Hold on. I'm getting yes. Okay, so I'm going to open up the phone now for the next caller to call in, whoever wants to run questions. Now, I'm only going to be doing it for about another half an hour to get us to around 10 p.m. because I still have to go to the post office and mail off a bunch of details for things. Super exciting stuff, I can assure you. And then we'll go ahead and go from there. Okay, so if I missed any questions, that's the other thing too. If you guys could put them again in the little written area, then I can go ahead and try and answer them as well. Let's see. Truth Seeker, gotcha. Here for Thanksgiving, my trader keeps getting my case sent back to a judge, but what the heck is going on? So Truth Seeker, if you want to call me on the number. I'll kind of walk you through the details. Let me see if there's any other questions in here. Okay, looking good. Okay, I'm not seeing a bunch of other questions. Okay, good. Yeah, I don't have any hats. I mean, I have a cowboy hat, but that's, I have working outside hats. I would probably look good in one of those hats, but I don't know. I don't even know. I'm not even sure what those hats would be. But I love tweed because heritage-wise, I go back to Scotland. So I have lots of tweed and lots of that sort of, or flannel wools. I tend to like those as well. I tend to like heavy fabrics because you can actually just kind of sweater shave them and then boom, they look fresh and amazing and they don't look like they've been used well. Whereas like that cheap wool that you see from India in all the suits that you get from Men's Warehouse and whatever, all those types, that wool, you get holes in that easily and things like that. Okay, guys, so just filled out my function report. What's next? Well, if you fill out your 3373, you're going to fill out your 3369. You can fill out your supplemental pain, anxiety, seizure, cardiac issue forms. Those are your DDS forms. And then you should be good to go from there. Janelle Bailey. Money says, great advice. I just had a mental exam yesterday. I wish I could have had this session first. No biggie. If you want I can kind of walk you through the whole mental session, but here's what you need to know about the mental exam CEs. CE appointments, they do them at DDS. DDS is a state-based agency. They're the group that the federal government pays to go ahead and adjudicate the claims at the initial filing and reconsideration levels. We got a caller. Let's see what's going on. Okay. Let's see. And what we're going to do is, okay, here we go. All righty, good sir. This is Attorney Walter Knott. We are live on YouTube. Go ahead and use your fake name. And would you like me to run questions with you as if it were a hearing, or would you like me to answer specific questions about your claim?
Specific questions. I went to my hearing on Monday, and I just wanted to see what your opinion was of how that went.
Okay. What was the percentage passage rate of the judge?
I heard it was 40-something%.
Okay. How old are you?
I am 46.
What are your top 5 most severe impairments?
They are bipolar, my joint pain, my anxiety, PTSD, and depression.
Okay, excellent. Can you walk me through this? Out of all of your mental conditions, which is the most severe?
My bipolar.
Okay. And help me out with this. The bipolar, when was that first in a diagnostic impression from a physician? When did you get diagnosed?
I got diagnosed when I went to their first medical exam when I first applied a bunch of years back.
Bunch of years back. How many years back?
That was 2012, so that's 8 years.
Okay. When was the last time that you worked?
Last time I worked was in 2016.
2016. What were you doing?
I was doing construction labor.
And as a construction labor person, how did your impairments limit your ability to work there?
They made it so I had to be trained daily, and they also caused confrontations with the employees that would train me and with the supervisors.
Okay, so you had difficulty with the supervisors. Can you tell me, how would you describe your bipolar? What are some of the issues you have with it?
The worst of it is just the emotions of it, just not being stable, you know what I mean? And not being able to control my behavior at all times.
I need more than that, man. I mean, that's like, this is your big one. This is your big show. This is your number one impairment. Why does your impairment limit your ability to work? Bipolar, construction. Go ahead.
Because as I'm working, I just, have a real hard time focusing between my thoughts and staying on task. And a lot of times, as I'm going through the day, I, try to do everything I can to lower my anxieties, because I worry a lot about whether I can, get along with those I work with. And that sometimes leads to such frustration that brings me to anger, and I am causing a confrontation when otherwise there wouldn't be, because I have this big issue where I worry too much about what others think. That makes sense to you.
Okay. Can you explain this to me? Any suicidal or homicidal tendencies?
In my opinion, I always tell people, no, I never committed suicide. But speaking to their examiners, they consider it, because what I did is I played games of suicide. Like, for example, when I was in the Boy Scouts, for the heck of it, I decided to hang myself, knowing that when they were coming back from Chow Hall and I was being disciplined and couldn't be with the group and everything, that they would find me hanging. And it was a real close call. So unfortunately, I've done very dumb behavior like that. But like I said, I didn't intend to kill myself, but I took very risky things.
How many Baker Acts are we looking at?
I've only had 2.
What years?
I had one back in the 1990s. I'd say about 97, 98. And then I had one, I'd say, about 2014.
Okay. And help me out with this. How have you been able to afford things for 4 years without a job?
I've been homeless and just having to make do without.
What year did you become homeless?
I've been homeless off and on my entire life since my 20s, since my early 20s.
What's your highest level of education?
I didn't finish high school. My junior year, as high as I got.
Did you ever get a GED?
No, sir.
Okay.
I was kind of lazy about it.
Okay. Do you have a car?
Yes, I do have a car.
Do you have a license?
I do have a license. It's suspended.
Why is it suspended?
It's suspended because I got caught with marijuana.
Okay. How much marijuana?
It was 5 grams.
So not that much. Okay.
No, it's just a misdemeanor. I got probation, thankfully.
Okay. All right, help me out with this. So you've been having this difficulty. Things have not been going well, and I understand that. You've been off and on homeless. So why have you not been able to find an easier job to just be able to work and maybe do part-time?
Ultimately, I went through periods of difficulty of trying to find jobs, and in between that, the hardest thing was holding down the jobs. And when I get into a certain, I guess, I'm just always grumpy, and so there's times when I just get so low and depressed and stuff, I get such discouragement that I give up. So I basically would most times wither and rot away instead of apply myself to get a job, to be honest.
Okay. I want to ask you this. All right. My initial feeling is that you have not had a lot of training with answering these questions, because I can even hear it in your voice that some of these questions you are hearing right now for the first time. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. What were some of the questions that caught you off guard at the hearing that the judge asked you?
My joint pain stuff, they started bringing up where my camp was and mentioning about basically how effective I was walking through the woods and everything. And I believe I debated that because I only use my cane for pain, and I was honest.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, just when it's painful, I'll take it with me. But no, when he asked, did I use it to step over stumps and stuff?
Mm-hmm.
I don't, because I didn't get to explain it, but I don't need to use it to step over a stump. I just need it for when I'm in pain, because I can't continue to progress without it if I'm going through fits of pain, and that's completely random. I'll wake up with pain that day, or I won't. I'll develop pain through the day off and on, or I won't. It's completely random.
All right. So they spent a lot of time on the physical aspect of the claim. Were there any mental, because obviously this is mostly a mental claim, were there any mental questions that threw you off?
The big thing is the judge bring up some incidents that I did not expect to be going over. They're on my criminal record. As you mentioned, the Baker Acts, one of them was, unfortunately, just things I live with. I'm very riddled with guilt over, and ashamed of And the last time I was Baker acted, I accidentally, didn't mean to, but I slammed the Walmart greeter to the ground. We later found out he was a retired teacher for special ed classes, and I happened to have a panic attack, and so he seen there was something wrong with me. So when he interacted with me and grabbed my shoulder, I freaked out and I slammed him to the ground. And he was very understanding, but ultimately they trespassed me and still charged me assault. But when the judge brought that up, and me not prepared for that, I began to cry. And I cried so bad, I could not get a hold of myself at all.
Mm-hmm.
And the judge said they weren't going to ask any more questions. And it just went to the work person, I forget what they're called.
Yeah, vocational expert, yeah.
And that's the only thing that I felt went well, is because vocational expert said no to 3 hypotheticals, no to past work. And it ended and everything like that.
Okay.
I tried to talk to my lawyer, but she was like pissed off and just hung up on me. And I've been too scared to call her to ask her opinion.
Why would she be pissed off?
It just, in my opinion, to ignore me and not reply and hang up, because I asked her, I said, do we stay on the line? Do we talk? What do we do now? And she hung up.
Did you call her? Did she call you?
No, I did not call her, and she did not call me, and her not calling me is what further cemented in my mind that I probably messed up with the fact that I cracked up and I just could not stop crying.
So they have 3 hypotheticals, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And then 3 hypotheticals, they all came back with work preclusive or no jobs in the national economy, correct?
They all came with no jobs.
All right. So then that's probably an approval. And why that is that essentially when there's no, the vocational expert is answering question 4 and 5 of the 5 elements of disability. 4, can you do your past relevant work? 5, can you do relevant transferable skilled work or unskilled work? If the judge proffered questions that you could not work any of those jobs that they gave based upon the hypothetical that they actually espoused, then that means you can't work in the national economy, which means it's somebody at 46 years old. You're looking at basically either having to have a CAL, a listing, or a vocational allowance. Vocational allowance is probably one of the more straightforward ways with your type of claim to go ahead and get somebody found disabled. So this is an example where the judge manipulated the hypothetical to show the vocational expert why you could not work. The vocational expert then gave back notification.
Walter,
yeah.
You're losing me. I'm not understanding now.
Oh, bottom line is the judge came out with hypos that are not capable of having continuous work, an 8-hour-a-day job. So let me go through that real quick. The whole point of disability for somebody your age for a vocational allowance is, can they work any job full time? If they can't work any job full time, then in most instances, there are some variances, but in most instances, you will be found disabled. Now, it is not, in my opinion, correct procedure for the attorney not to call the claimant after the hearing. I always call them after the hearing, and I don't bullshit them. All the other attorneys I know bullshit them, and there's no way around that. They all tell them, oh, I wouldn't have taken the claim unless I thought it was a winner. I think you did great. I tell them where they screwed up. I tell them where they did great. I tell them the whole spiel, because you know what? If they screwed up, they have to work with me to fix it. I don't let them off the hook. It sounds like you had a hard time in there and got upset. Can you tell me how long did the hearing last in total?
Only maybe 20 minutes.
All right. That is a very, very short hearing. If the judge came back with 3 hypotheticals that were all work preclusive, then that's probably an approval. I can't promise it, but that's probably an approval.
And that's what I want to tell myself, but I keep taking out this, Walter.
Mm-hmm.
You kept saying, drilling into us, that the judge will do whatever they want.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, but that's linear with that.
He seemed bothered the way he was like, no more questions. the way he said that. Boom, after his one question, when I couldn't stop crying. It just seemed like that bothered him, seriously. So I found that unnerving. Like I follow my instincts and senses my whole entire life, and it's hard to read this, really hard to read this.
I wasn't in the room. I don't have the audio recording. If I had the audio recording, I could tell you which way it likely would go with more certainty. But I'll tell you this. Judges are showmen. They are. Attorneys are showmen. And showwomen. They are. Okay? You have to understand the judge has to appear on the record like they are doing their job. Let that sink in. Next thing I want you to think about. If they got a few questions out with you, right? And they went into this, that, yada, yada, yada. Clearly, this is a mental claim. They beat you up. They made you look like a fool when it came to the physical. How far away from the road are you? How far away are you from the food? How far into the woods do you live? Do you bring any propane back there? Do you make a fire? Do you cook food back there? How do you cook food back there? They made you look bad. Then they went to mental, and you started crying the whole time. So let me ask you this. Does your medical record show that you, for an extended period, have had these mental problems and an inability to get along with others?
Yeah, it does.
Is the judge going to believe you or your medical record the more?
I believe the medical records.
Yeah.
My medical records is their medical records, since I have none of my own.
Because your testimony is subjective. Their testimony is objective. Do you know what the CE doctors, the CEMEs, consultative examination medical experts, do you know what their doctors said about you?
All of them just agreed. They all three of them, except for the fourth one, which was the physical thing over my joint pain. He just confirmed that it was there, and that was it. But the other three all confirmed the same diagnoses, but with a little extra each time. And one of them specifically said I was credible, but they all said moderate. That's what they all had said. My course lawyer was saying severe, and mentioned the times I've been hospitalized. And then before them, all this since 2012, saying the history of it all. And she also was working with my criminal record as well, which they spoke about.
Okay. All right. I'm going to put a shiny nickel down on approved. I think it's bizarre that your attorney didn't call you back. That's not good. Was this a big box firm? Was this a smaller law firm? What kind of firm was this?
Am I allowed to say their name?
I don't say it, but I mean, you can say it if you want. That's fine. There's no limitation on you saying it on this channel. You can say it if you want.
Taylor and Taylor.
Okay. And what geographic area are you based in?
Polk County.
Okay. So now, is there a reason that she said she wasn't going to call you back, or he wasn't going to call you back? Is there a reason that they didn't follow up with you?
No, she, I think it goes back to the very beginning of when I was waiting for my phone call, and the person that called me was the DD, what have you. And when she got on the phone with me, she's like, "Are you okay? You don't sound okay." And I told her I've been up all night, and for the past 2 hours I've been crying from the pressure. And my voice talking to her was wanting to crack. And when she said that she picked my attorney and stuff, and so when my attorney got on with me and we're waiting for the judge, I said good morning to her and stuff like that. And she didn't reply with good mornings or anything. And she carried on talking to somebody in the background and stuff. And I just knew she would deliberately ignore me for some kind of reason. I felt like maybe she was already bothered by the state I was in. Because like I said, my voice was ready to crack the whole time.
Okay. All right. So look, and here's the thing. When you guys go to your hearing, and I just want to say this so that, a lot of people understand it. To the attorneys, this is very ho-hum. We do these things all the time. We're in these hearings all the time. To you guys, you've waited a year and a half, 2 years, 3 years even, to be in that situation where you get to interact with the judge. So to you guys, it's a huge, huge deal, and usually filled with a lot of uncertainty. So unfortunately, it sounds like a little bit of that hum-ho, here we go, is what your attorney had. Now, did your attorney run questions with you before the hearing?
No, one time a month prior for an hour.
Okay.
They got that.
Well, that's good. That's good. That's good. How did that go?
And I don't know if you remember, but you ran them over with me 2 times.
Oh, okay. Good.
Wow.
All right. There you go. So you've had a lot of preparation.
Yeah, I thought so.
Okay.
I still broke under the pressure, but.
Okay. Now tell me this. Did you feel like you knew the questions before they were asked in the hearing?
Yeah, I felt ready. I was kind of disappointed in myself because I didn't, I thought I was ready.
Mm-hmm.
And I spoke to you just 24 hours before, and you told me that you thought I was ready and so forth, which was, very good for my confidence. I don't get very confident very often.
Mm-hmm.
And, but I only made it through 2 damn questions.
Okay.
To control my crying.
One thing you can do is you can submit a statement 795 form to the judge explaining what happened to you in there, what your mind did, what your brain did, and then submit that. And they've got to go ahead and respond to it either by doing a response or putting into the record a notification as to why they're not going to respond to it. Otherwise, that's an appealable ground at the Appeals Council. So my point to you is this. I would send in a 795 to that judge explaining what happened with your mind and have your attorney go ahead and do that.
Oh, and that's a good reason to talk to her, too. Excellent. Awesome. Yeah. Walter, thank you.
You got it, good sir. Absolutely. Well, guys, good sir, I'm going to hop off the phone, see if there's anybody else that wants to do a quick call. Other than that, I'm probably going to go ahead and go to the post office. But good sir, have a wonderful night. And I pray that the judge will go ahead and approve this. And I hope you will call us back after you get that approval and tell us about the emotions you felt through the stages, because I can't answer what you guys feel throughout the process. I've become numb to it, which is not good. But the reality is only you can tell these other people what you felt and then what you wish you would have done or could have done or yada, yada. So here's what I would say. Don't stay up. Everything's done that could be done, but please go download a 795 form, statement of claimant, write down what happened, and then from there, go ahead and submit it to the judge. Just make sure your attorney reviews it ahead of time. That way you don't make any negative statements that could potentially harm your claim.
Okay, right on.
Perfect. Good sir. Have a wonderful night, and I will catch you later.
Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you, good sir. Bye-bye. Okay, guys, that was really good. That was an individual who, got beat up a little bit by the judge pertaining to the physical side, because those claims, homeless claims, there's a lot of little trick questions. And they usually have to do with distance, amenities, propane in the woods. How do you get the propane tank back there? Is it the cabin one? Is it a little green canister one? Is it one of those bigger 20-pound ones, 30-pound ones? What do you cook on there? How'd you get the grill back there? How'd you get the wood back there? How'd you cut up the wood? There's a lot of little nuanced questions that are used for these homeless individuals, which is sad, because among all people, you don't become homeless because you usually choose to. I mean, sure, some people like living the wagon life, but the reality is most people do not want to end up homeless. And if they truly do end up homeless, they're usually the ones who are a good type of claim for an individual that does not have the physical or mental capacity to go ahead and work. All right. With all that said, I am getting a little bit tired. I do have to go to the post office. Is there anybody else that has any questions? I'm going to type it in here. If I miss your question, just go ahead and copy paste up to the front. Any questions? I'll put the phone number there one more time. And keep in mind, it would be a small phone call. We can always do it next week as well, because we're at an hour and 30 minutes right now. That's kind of what I wanted to keep it to get us to right around 10. But any questions, any little things before I pop off, guys, let me know. Also, I want to go back to the very beginning. The 2 big things that I'm going to be producing video-wise and publishing to you guys are the following in the future. We're going to finish out the top 200 hearing questions, which will probably get me murdered by, essentially one of those ninjas from another firm, because law firms don't really want you guys to necessarily have all of that information, because it lessens the value of their work. because the curiosity is no longer there. And at that point, it's more about you guys having the knowledge and understanding what actually goes on in there. So not all attorneys really want that out there. In fact, I've already received a little bit of setback from that. But the bottom line is this. That's thing number one, top 200 hearing questions. Thing number two that we're going to work on this side of the fence is basically every single listing. I'm just going to go through every single listed impairment and explain to you things you need to watch out for, what you have to know as basics, trial tactics, types of medical documentation that would be helpful. I'm just going to go through each and every one of them. And that will definitely get me assassinated by some other law firm, but it is what it is. I mean, I'm hard to get to with COVID. You got to have to, get onto an island and then get on a boat and then travel there and use a harpoon gun to get me, because only silver will kill me. But either way, that is kind of the future of where we're going with this. So those are the two big things that videos will come out: top 200 hearing questions, every single listing, described as to how they can be helpful, types of medical evidence, vocational expert testimony to watch out pertaining to them, and then, of course, RFCs and the basics involved with that. All right, guys, let me see if you have any other questions. Looks good, looks good. I'll call you next week. Okay. Yeah, Lily, call me next week. Keep working it. I usually like when I run questions with somebody that 2 weeks go by, and here's why. 1 week is learning, and then another week, it doesn't really set in. The funny thing is when I went to law school, all that knowledge and information didn't really start to assimilate and, creamy, frothy, whatever in my brain to marinate until a year after law school. It was weird. And then all of a sudden my brain started to go, that's why they did it that way. That's how they do it that way. All those things. So give it another week and then I'll go ahead and run them with you. But when I run them with you, I'm going to beat you up because you already know the background as to what we're looking for. So I'm going to come at you like a train. So just realize I need you to be tough, be smart, and be organized. Write all the stuff down ahead of time so that you can boop, 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 bullet point everything out. We learned to teach. So Money said, we learned to teach. So thank you so much for sharing your knowledge. I've learned a lot from you today. Excellent, good sir. Lily, I'm definitely learning. It's still taking me time to practice. That's cool. Don't worry about it. So Lily, remember, you are not allowed to do a perfect job with this whole show and the training and the testimony. You're not allowed to do a perfect job. This is a screw up zone. This is the island of misfits right here. Everybody's allowed to screw up here. In fact, it is warranted and it is, pushed, and we accept it and we want it. This is the island of, make mistakes, because if you make mistakes here, you're not going to make them there. If you make them there, it's a huge, big problem. If you make them here, it's a learning experience. You're only going to do really well if you learn how to fix mistakes ahead of time, and very importantly, during the hearing. And here's the big thing. If you learn one thing from this channel, it is to dodge the speeding bullet questions. There's a silver bullet that the judges will shoot at you. And a law professor used to explain it to me. A judge is like a double cannoned tank that's facing you, right? And the judge will swing those cannons to the attorney, and the judge will swing those cannons to the vocational expert, and the judge will swing those cannons right to you. And you need to be prepared for that silver bullet that's coming at you. And knowing how to get around that question is incredibly, incredibly important, because if you get stuck on something like that, the judge is going to sink in the fangs and they're going to turn you into a liar sometimes. And the reason why that is because they know how to go ahead and make you say things or agree to things and then go back to them and get you to go ahead and, change it a little bit. And then boom, you're caught in a kind of maybe a lie, or maybe you meant this, but you didn't mean that. You don't want to be stuck in that situation. I'll catch you guys a little bit later. Have an absolutely wonderful day. Remember, I've worked there for 7 to going on 8 years. I own that law firm. Very happy, very successful with this little guy. Disability resolution there. Sorry, that is whatever. Disability resolution PA. That's a great law firm that I've been working at for 7 to 8 years. And then if you get a chance, go to spaceconstitution.com. Check it out. It's in its beta testing, its final testing before I advertise and it goes live. It is the platform for people to discuss future rights for people who will be going into space. And then hopefully we can use the rights that we've discovered we want people to have up here to go ahead and use on Earth down here. I'll catch you later. Have a wonderful night. And thank you so much. Bye-bye.